Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Commission Breath. Brandon Love here. I'm flying solo today. You've probably noticed this, but Tom and I have been doing a little bit more of a divide and conquer, just trying to accomplish all the stuff that comes with running a busy book of business, a brokerage, podcast. So we love doing our episodes together, but splitting things up a little bit allows us to tackle things that we're passionate about or things that are present for us that day without having to pull both of us into the fray. So let us know if you like these solo ones, if you prefer us to just be tag teaming things. But I just thought I'd give you a little update on why that is and sort of what's going on in the background right now. So as independent book of business, we are growing our team. So we just hired a good friend of ours. He's starting next week. And the cool thing is he is actually the guy that got Tom and I both into doing mortgages. So it's kind of come full circle now where years later, he is joining our team. He's going to be like the head of underwriting. That's a working title. And he's going to bring all that expertise and everything into running our book. So fantastic. We're super stoked about that. And then on the brokerage side, we have had 45 agents join us since August. We're cooking there. We're having a great time. We are loving running a brokerage. I was a little nervous at first. I thought it was going to pull me too far away from my actual business, which to a certain extent it has. Like, I'm honestly funding less mortgages now because I'm doing so much brokerage work. But I actually do love the side of the brokerage thing. And I'm really passionate about helping brokers drive down their costs, grow their book of business. And we're just having a lot of fun. And I think the brokers are having fun too, but you can ask them because they probably won't tell me to my face. Anyways, that is besides the point. That's not what I want to talk to you about today. Today, I want to talk about conflict resolution and how we can really improve this in our businesses. So I'm going to give several different ways and strategies that you can use to apply to your business that have really helped me both in my own personal book, in life in general, and in running a brokerage as well. So first things first, just you have to accept that this is part of the job. If you ask for a conflict-free life or a conflict-free business, you can have no business. But if you're going to be the kind of person who's drawing leads in, growing their book of business, scaling, things are going to break, clients are going to get frustrated, things are going to blow up in your face and create these stressful scenarios. It comes with the territory. There is no way around it. The thing to accept here is that this is just part of it. These stressors that come with the job, we're paid handsomely to deal with it. So don't pray that these go away. Just pray that you can become better equipped at handling them. So I'm on a little bit of a religious bent for these first two, but just ignore that if you're not spiritual at all. But the second one, this is a concept that comes from Ryan Holiday, very well-known author who writes a lot about Stoicism. And his concept is stop looking for angels and start looking for angles. And I often hear of brokers trying to force files to work with certain lenders. So it's like that square peg in the round hole. And they're trying to get several exceptions. They're trying to massage the file so that it works. They're getting frustrated. The lender's getting frustrated. The client's getting irritated. And it's just this cycle of negativity. I often think about this and I'm like, you guys, we have the luxury of being brokers. We are not, TD reps or RBC reps who only have our products. We have so many other options and solutions out there. So take a step back and look at some of the policies, read through Lender Spotlight, get that broader picture and see if you can find a better fit for the client. It's going to end up being a smoother transaction for you. The lender is going to be happier. This luxury is that all these lenders are not carbon copies of one another. Like, we just had a lender on our lender chat with the brokerage yesterday talking about their 6-month program for recently self-employed people. I'm like, this is a huge advantage. I can think of several files where I tried to make this work elsewhere and never got it done. And just knowing these kinds of things, learning and applying it to your business is going to make things so much better. So look for an angle that you can apply to your business. Stop looking for some of your lenders or your brokerage or people in the channel to be your saviors on files. All right, this is a big one. I hate complaining in life. It just draws all that negativity towards you. It doesn't get anywhere. And I get it. Sometimes like people need to complain to feel better or just to get it off their chest. Go to a therapist, okay? Do not complain to your partners. Do not complain to people in your brokerage. Don't just generally complain. But one thing I do like to do is have what I call a bitch and resolve. So a bitch and resolve is that if you have an issue that's bothering you, you can bring it to the table, but you have to have at least one resolution towards it. Okay. It doesn't have to be a good resolution. Like if I could say, Tom's being a dick. Okay. My resolution is to kill Tom. That's not a good resolution. But coming up with one idea at least puts us in that solution based thinking mindset. So, an example might be someone's having an issue with a client treating them rudely, and their resolution might be, I'm going to just completely cut the client off and move on to the next one. But they can bring this to the table and get feedback from the brokerage, from the leadership team, from everyone who might be on that call. And someone else might say, hey, you know what? I would suggest doing X, or I might suggest doing Y. So you have this session where you get the weight off your chest by sharing it with the group, but you also get several actionable resolutions there that then you can pick what's the best one to go forward. This creates a way better environment because everyone is resolution-based thinking instead of just complaining. If I come in and I'm like, fuck underwriting, and then everyone's like, yeah, I hate underwriting, I hate rates, I hate this, and like it just spirals. Everyone gets in this negative frame and it's very hard to pull yourself out of it. Protecting your mindset and the mindset of your business is going to lead to such a better daily life for you, and also it's just going to make things more positive surrounding your business. So I think it's a huge thing to move away from complaining. Don't worry if you have to say something, but have at least one solution in mind that you can bring to the table, and then allow others to piggyback off there. Okay. I just want to give a story of this. This actually came into play today in our brokerage. So every day we have prospectors hour. We did the first half hour prospecting. Second half hour, we have training, a lender, or sometimes we'll just do like a Q&A. So today we did a Q&A, and one of the agents came in and he's like, I'm having like a hell of a time with this net worth file. I've asked for like several exceptions. I've been declined here and here. I've been frustrated and I'm just looking for like solutions. Here's what I've tried. Does anyone have any suggestions? So he kind of voiced the frustration he was having with his file. He explained what he's been trying and the angle he's been looking at it. And two other brokers suggested 2 to 3 different lenders he could try and how he could structure the file. And now he was able to wrap up that call with a resolution in mind. He kind of cleared his headspace, pulled himself out of the file, let another couple sets of eyes into his scenario, and he has a new direction he can take. Whether or not that ends up being successful is besides the point. It gives renewed hope and optimism into the file and removes that layer of frustration for him. All right. If you're going to complain, you need to learn how to do it. So I know I said don't complain before, have resolution-based solutions there, but there are certain times where you just need to flag things. And this isn't really complaining. This is just more so drawing attention or shining a spotlight on the problem. And that's a key distinction there, okay? Don't be like, so-and-so sucks at underwriting. My underwriter's not getting this. This isn't working. Just shine a spotlight being like, hey, I'm having trouble getting the right documents or getting clarity on what you're looking for. Can I get another set of eyeballs on this so that we can get a resolution faster for the client? So just kind of reframe it. Try not to throw people under the bus. Bad practice, and I see this a lot on being on the brokerage side now, is an agent getting frustrated with something and copying in every single handle they have from that lender. So it'll be like the underwriter, the BDM, someone else who's worked on the past file, all the management. Like literally, it's just like this barrage of CCs on the email. And I'm like, whoa, that is like overkill. You're going to piss so many people off. You're going to make the person who you have the initial conflict with really frustrated with you. And then there's a lot of people who are going to feel like you're just annoying. So don't do that. That's a really bad practice. Good practice is if you have an issue with an underwriter, talk to them first and just try to get clarity on what it is. If you're not getting anywhere there, then go to your BDM. From the BDM conversation, loop in management, and we can help stick handle those kinds of things a little bit with you. But don't go through and be like, underwriter, I didn't get the answer I want. I'm going to go to my brokerage. I'm going to then copy in the BDM and their superior. Like it just creates a big mess for you. People end up doing more damage control and trying to protect their hides than they do trying to work on the resolution for you. Early on in my career, I totally did this. Like I fucked it up huge. I got frustrated and I just fucking CC'd everyone and I blasted the underwriter, and resolution was eventually made. But on my next file, I was just getting like really crappy service again. And finally I'm like, okay, I don't know, like I'm gonna just call this underwriter. So I called them and I was like, hey, like, do we have a problem? Like, are we gonna be able to work together? They're very gracious with me. I think they recognized that I was new, and they just said, like, you know what you did there got me in shit. It made me look bad with my team, and I'm triaging, I'm working on a lot of files, I'm prioritizing people who respect me and who treat me well. And, like I felt that you didn't do that on the last file. And yes, this is kind of hurting our relationship. He's like, I don't want to have this ongoing, but like, that's what's going on right now in my head. And I was like, thanks. Like, I really appreciate you sharing that with me. I recognize that I screwed that up. I didn't know better. And I ended up sending them a $50 LCBO gift card and a little note saying, sorry for creating a stressful day. Hopefully this can take some of the steam off, sort of thing. And we ended up having a really great relationship. We just opened up with being like very clear with each other about how things were going and where frustrations were and where I had hurt them. And similarly, where I felt that I was getting treated like a rookie broker, which I was, and I should have been, but I guess I had some ego at that time. So it ended up creating one of my best underwriting relationships and really taught me about how to deal with people in the industry. And it's really important to remember that this is a long-term game played with long-term people. So someone who's an underwriter today will be your BDM down the road. That BDM will be a VP somewhere, so on and so forth. And it's a very small playground, and you don't want to be the one having the reputation for being an asshole, especially when there's really great people and we're all just trying to work towards the common good of getting files funded, creating solutions for clients, improving the growth of the mortgage brokering industry as a whole. So many people are bought into this and really doing their best. So do your best to give respect where it should be given and not try to throw people under the bus. Okay. If you have to give bad news, it should always be over a phone. So like you just saw with that underwriter there, with that conversation, that was done over a phone call. If you have to tell a client that their file's been canceled for some reason, or you have to communicate with the realtor that something's not meeting a COF, do not hide behind a keyboard. Do this as a phone call. You will get a barrage of angry things, like angry comments, and it sucks just sitting there listening to it. I remember when rates went up really high there, and anyone that I had put in like a variable rate, I just called them and said, hey, like rates have gone up. We made this call with you. Our plan is for the 5 years. It's not for the 1 year. Whatever. I had this whole script worked out. It was pretty good. But I still had to sit there and listen to them. I'd be like, you fucked up my family's finances, da, 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 and they're just blaming me. Like I had controlled everything there. And whether or not that's right is besides the point. But having that conversation really diffused things so they got all their anger out of the way, and then we could work on the resolution. And if you hide behind a keyboard here, people will fucking light you up, and they will continue to send you email after email, angry messages. They just have no respect for you. So get ahead of it, pick up the phone, make the call. It's going to suck, but it's going to be like 3 to 6 minutes, and then you're done. Going forward from that, though, you need to set boundaries and make them really clear. So if you have that initial call, you tell them the bad news and they're still like harassing you, they're taking it too far. And you can tell what this is. Like there's a very clear distinction here between like, yes, I'm pissed off on one call versus I'm like pissed off calling you all the time or like sending you threatening messages, that kind of thing. If that's the case, then you do have to move away from the phone and you have to start using your email so that you have that paper trail and documented history of where things have gone. The other reason I like this is email only communication allows me to pull back a bit. So if someone sends me something really pissy or whatever, and I've done the call for the bad news has happened, but let's just say it's a client who like there wasn't anything bad that happened. They're just one of those people that likes to create drama or likes to create that hostile environment. Switch to email only communication. I can take a step back. I can say, you know what, I'm going to draft my response, going to go for a walk, and then maybe I'll send it, or maybe I'll send it the next day. It gives you that bit of distance between the problem itself and allows for the clarity of thought there. Another thing I like to do here, and be careful not to overstep in doing this, is share with the referral partners what's going on and giving some context with email. So if someone's sending me like a really like irate message and it's unfounded, I will just send to the realtor partner, hey, here's just a little snippet of what's going on. I just want you to have context if you're fielding any hostility on your end. And I don't go into the granular, like violating any privacy or anything like that. You need to be very cautious there. So you want to think like, okay, give the broad strokes of the issue, but not the finer details, but just looping them in as more of a courtesy so that if they get the angry call next, they know where it's coming from and they're not caught off guard by it. The keyboard is here as insurance. So use it for that paper trail, but don't hide behind it. Make your initial thing a call and then use the keyboard to back you up and have that paper trail behind you. All right, last but not least is just a good policy for everything in your business, whether it's conflict resolution, underwriting, sales, is learn, document, and share. So when you learn something, write it down. I used to create this sheet. It was called Underground Underwriting, and it had any like underwriting tip I had, probably like 40 pages long by the end of it. I would just reference it. So if I had a file to run, I could just go in there, and it was great to kind of look up historical things. Write things down of how you handled the scenario. How did it work? How did it go poorly? I love to do this if like I have a client complain that, they saw a better rate somewhere else. I document what was my answer to them and how did I justify what we had done there. If you have something that's working, don't hold on to it. Like this is an industry that benefits a lot from collaboration, and a better brokering community is better for brokering. You're not pulling business from one another. Very rarely, anyways, do I get someone who comes to me and says, I'm working with another broker. 95% of the time, it's like, hey, I'm working with my bank and I want a second opinion. So share with the brokering community, especially with like your internal brokerage, because that's an incubator for ideas, just like this podcast is. And so much can grow and expand from that. And that rising tide lifts all ships. And never in my life have I been proven wrong about this, that like giving things away and information, it always comes back tenfold, where people will share stuff with us that then we apply in our business. It helps us create a better client experience, or it helps us like deal with difficult clients. And giving back and keeping just kind of that like currency of generosity and strategies and ideas and all that stuff has a great compounding effect, and it creates a better business for you, creates a better environment to actually work in. And, it's just better. Quick recap, just radical acceptance. Acceptance is part of the job. You're paid well for it. If you don't want to deal with complaints, go do a different job. Look for angles, not for angels. Try to find a different way to look at the problem via maybe a different lender or a different approach to a file. Have a bitch and resolve. So if you're going to complain, come with some form of resolution and have that resolution-based mentality. Learn how to spotlight where things are going wrong without making them seem like big complaints. Just shining a light on things. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just drawing attention to it, that kind of thing. Bad news comes over the phone. Abusive or hostile scenarios have to be dealt with by email so that you have the paper trail. And last but not least, learn, document, and share. Let's keep building a great brokering community, and let's have a successful time with hopefully not too many conflicts, but at least you should know how to deal with them a bit better. Have an awesome day. Cheers.